Hi guys, so this weekend, as most of you probably know, was opening weekend of the first Hunger Games movie. I'm not sure if I've ever mentioned these in previous videos, but I'm a massive fan of the books and have been awaiting this movie with great anticipation. Naturally, I had tickets for the midnight premiere at the IMAX movie theater, and after waiting in line for 6 hours, I finally got to see it. From this point on in this video, there are going to be spoilers. Just saying. I'd like to start off by saying that I pretty much absolutely adored this movie, and when my dad asked me if I liked the books or the movie better, I couldn't decide. I know a lot of you are thinking that's heretical or whatever, if that's even a word, I'm not sure. But yeah, no, it's not, because I like the movie for the same reasons that I like the book. It's the kind of story that it's telling. I know you could argue that with the movie you don't get the literary fineness or whatever, but although I love The Hunger Games, it's for its story, not for the writing. I mean, in no way am I saying that Suzanne Collins is a bad writer, but at the same time, it's not like her prose is absolutely stunning and brilliant and beautiful. It just serves the purpose to tell the story. And in this case, I think that's all it needs to do because the story stands on its own. So one of the first things I noticed with this movie is that there are certain scenes where there is no soundtrack. There is nothing playing in the background, and I loved it. Like in the scene at the beginning when Katniss is saying goodbye to Prim and her mom and Gale, you know, like that was wow, like, dude, oh! Movies hardly ever don't have a soundtrack in any spot. I mean, especially in parts that are supposed to be sad. For some reason, I can't even explain why, I just really loved that. Casting choices were pretty brilliant on the whole, although I'm still not sure how I feel about Cinna because he was my favorite character. I kind of want to say he wasn't as good as I was hoping, but at the same time, he didn't have a big enough role in the movie to be able to really judge that. So I'm not going to say any more on that subject. Haymitch was pretty brilliant, I decided after a while, although he was very different than I thought he would be. And I'm also very sad that they did not have him say, here's some advice, stay alive, because I made myself a Hunger Games t-shirt that said that, and the line wasn't even in the movie, and I was sad. Although they did replace it with a pretty good line. I really liked how as the story follows Katniss, they would cut back and forth between her and like Seneca Crane and President Snow, which was really well done because it's going to help it tie into the next couple books, movies, you know, a lot better. Just in a movie context, that helps it make much more sense, especially for people who haven't read the books. For those who have read the books, it's like, you don't care. But I think that part of making a good movie is making it understandable to people who have also not read the books. Going along with that a little, I really liked how they showed clips of Gale and Katniss's family back in District 12 watching the Hunger Games, and the uprising scene from District 11. I thought that was brilliant. It's gonna help the movies tie into their sequels so much better. Seeing as it would have been really difficult to do the bread that Katniss gets from District 11 and knows it's from them because that's like all in her head, it would have been really hard to convey that in the movies, so I think that that was a good substitute for it, if not a better one. I mean, obviously in the book that doesn't work, but that's the beauty of being able to have both, is that some things work better with books and some things work better with movies, and this way we can have both. Costumes were pretty fabulous, although there could have been a little more jewels on Katniss's interview dress, and the chariot burning outfits, I was expecting there to be like fire on their heads too, not just capes, but you know, it was still pretty awesome, I thought. I thought they did a pretty good job with keeping the gore low, which they kind of had to, and which from what I've heard, that's been like the hardest thing, because it's a brutal, I mean, just the idea of it is brutal. However, when Rue died, it was overall a good scene, and of course it made me cry and stuff, except that when she actually gets speared, I was talking about this with a couple of friends of mine, I always imagined it with her screaming, not just like this quiet thing. So I'm going to go see this again sometime next week because I want to see what the second impression is like, because once you've seen a movie and then you see it again, you look at it differently because you kind of know what's coming and you will notice different things, and I just want to see what it's like my second time around versus my first time. I might make a second video after I see it a second time. But on the whole, I just wanted to end with this thing that I wrote down. This movie, I got so into it, like at this moment when Katniss was getting into the capsule to go up into the arena, I was scared to death. Like, it felt like it was me. I was actually feeling feeling like, and very acutely feeling these emotions of like, oh my goodness, imagine if I was in that situation, I would die. It was like the reality was hitting me right there and then, and it was this feeling that like this is going to happen and there's nothing you can do about it. When I realized I was feeling that so acutely, I was like, oh my goodness, when was the last time I have felt something so strongly at a movie? Because usually when I watch a movie, there's a certain distance. I mean, yeah, I might feel sad, I might even cry and stuff, but there's usually a certain distance, especially if it comes to fear. I don't usually feel the fear. Part of why I love the movie so much, because it made me feel so everything that I was supposed to feel and not distance at all. Like, it was just, wow. I was so into it. Does that even make sense? I feel like that was kind of a big rambling speech. Woo. And the other thing I wrote down, and this does not pertain just to the movie but to the book as well, is that when you hear stories, like when you're in a history class and you hear stories of revolution and different horrors that used to go on in the world, they're just stories because they're so far away. They're hundreds of years ago, or even if it's just 50 years ago. Even if you hear stories that are current but it's halfway across the world, you might cringe a little bit. It's different because you have no real connection to it. But the Hunger Games, this story gives you at least a glimpse into the truth and the actual pain that takes place in events like that, and the price that people would have to pay for it, and the horrors that go on because of what human nature turns to. I feel like that was kind of rambling too. But I hope I got my point across, so I hope you guys liked the movie. Let me know in the comments your opinion on different things, or if you have questions on what I thought about specific things. Anyway, so that's it for today. Love you guys. Bye!